to torturing two black men. I'm Tyrone Bowman. This is Tyrone Bowman Tonight. According to CNN, a Mississippi sheriff said he was ashamed and apologized after five of his former deputies pleaded guilty to charges related to the torture of two black men. Rankin County Sheriff Byron Bailey said the police badge was tarnished by the criminal acts of these few individuals. At a news conference hours after the five former deputies pleaded guilty Thursday, a sixth former officer from the Richmond, Mississippi Police Department also pleaded guilty. Quote, these guys were so far past any boundary. It is unbelievable what they did, said Bailey. This is a bunch of criminals that did a home invasion, close quote. The two victims, Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker, filed a federal lawsuit in June claiming the six white law enforcement officers illegally entered their home in Braxton, Mississippi, and tortured them for nearly 2 hours. The lawsuit said the officers handcuffed, kicked, waterboarded, and attempted to sexually assault Jenkins and Parker. The assault culminated when one deputy placing a gun in Jenkins' mouth and shooting him, which the lawsuit says has left permanent physical injuries, cognitive damage, and long-term psychological damage. Quote, all of the former deputies lied to me that night of this incident. Close quote, the sheriff said. I am sick to my stomach. I have tried to build a reputation, tried to have a safe county. They have robbed me of the actions of these few. Close quote. This is a perfect example of why people don't trust the police, he added. Never in my life did I think this would happen in this department. He also apologized to Jenkins and Parker, as well as the Rankin County community. Bailey said he knew that the five Rankin County officers well, and he never ever could imagine that any of these five individuals were capable of these horrendous crimes that they committed. Sheriff, you need to go back and take a look at their arrest records. Look at them carefully and find out exactly what these guys did and how they did it. This isn't the first time they did something like this. They just got caught. Court documents named the six law enforcement officers involved as Hunter Elward, Brett McAlpin, Jeffrey Middleton, Christian Dedmon, Daniel Opke, and Joshua Hartfield. The charges include discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence, conspiracy against rights, deprivation of rights under color of law, conspiracy to obstruct justice, and obstruction of justice according to online federal court records. The sheriff said he terminated 3 deputies in late June after one of the deputies disclosed some of the details of the incident. 2 of the deputies had already resigned from the department by then, the sheriff added. Bailey called the attack the nightmare for law enforcement. This is the most horrible incident of police brutality of my whole career, he said, and I am ashamed that it happened at this department. Bailey says he does not plan on resigning in the wake of the shocking charges. I am going to stay here, he said, and I'm going to fix these problems. The only thing that I'm guilty of on this incident right here is trusting grown men that sworn an oath to do their job correctly, and he said, I'm guilty of that. But the people of Rankin County elected me to do a good job during during good times and during bad times. Yes, this is a bad time. I am embarrassed and ashamed of what they have done to this badge. He went on with his hand over a badge embroidered on his shirt. The sheriff said he was unaware the deputies had dubbed themselves the Goon Squad until last week. A federal charging document says the officers chose the name to reflect their willingness to use excessive force and not to report it. Bailey said he hadn't thought there were any cultural problems at the department before the attack came to light. Obviously, one thing I need to do is make people more accountable, he said. I am going to fix this. The sheriff said there may be additional victims and asked potential victims to call the FBI or state authorities to report incidents. barely emphasized the 6 involved officers worked to cover up the incident. They lied their behinds off. If one of the 6 officers there would have stood up and said something, if they would have told the truth, their cover up made it 20 times worse. He said it was already horrible. Don't get me wrong, anything done to those victims was horrible. But then for a law enforcement officer to cover, to lie, it makes me sick to my stomach. I'm Tyrone Bowman. Never surrender. Never quit.